In this video, I'm all about the speaking plan. Yes, let's talk about that. When it comes to preparing for the speaking examination, very often it is left to the last moment because it's a short examination. And many students feel that because they're preparing for the reading and the listening and the writing, that automatically their speaking will improve. Well, what will improve is your range of vocabulary, your accuracy with grammar, and your ideas. Those will obviously increase and will be beneficial for your speaking. But the act of speaking doesn't necessarily improve if you don't actively work towards it. So let's have a look at how you can plan to study for your speaking examination. First thing you want to do is not to memorize answers. This actually happens quite a lot because we want to be prepared, and students fear that they might not have the right vocabulary in that moment. But unfortunately, evidence has proven that memorized answers are monotonous and robotic, and it's picked up instantly. So let's just take a step back and remember what it is that the speaking examination is testing at the end of the day, and that's it's testing you to be an effective communicator in the language. An effective communicator in the language does not speak robotically or monotonously. There is a fair amount of body language that is involved, and the language is organically produced. So what can you do to improve this? Let's go. Don't bury your nose in a grammar book. Very often students like to pour themselves on grammar textbooks, particularly if they are self-studying. Use the time to use the language. Now, this might seem a little bit complicated for you because you might not be in an English-speaking country. So how are you going to do this? So if you're going to focus on grammar, focus on a few choice structures that will be necessary in the speaking. For example, the basic tenses, the present simple, the present continuous, and the difference between the past simple and the present perfect. And then don't worry too much about the future perfect continuous, because those are not structures that we often use when we speak, do we? We use question tags. We play around with noun-verb agreements. We use a lot of infinitives and gerunds. So those are the type of structures that you want to be focusing on, not the structures that you would have studied in an advanced general English class. So if you want to look at grammar, look at that. But then take it to the next level. Try and put that grammar, those noun-verb agreements into use. So if you don't have a native speaker to practice with, this is a good time to engage with a professional IELTS teacher. Why? You are going to be tested across 4 different criteria. Lexis, which is vocabulary, fluency, grammar, and pronunciation. At the end of the day, you do need somebody to help guide you in these criteria. So for example, with the vocabulary, you're going to be activating passive knowledge. You're going to practice new vocabulary, and by doing so, you're going to avoid repetition. This is what's going to happen when you speak to somebody. With fluency, you're going to reduce hesitations. Now, when it comes to hesitations, remember that too many ums and ahs translate to, I'm looking for the vocabulary, I don't know what to say. So by practicing your speaking with a native speaker or a teacher, you are reducing those hesitations because you are more confident when you speak. With grammar, you are practicing to use simple sentences and then move to using more complex structures as well. So by practicing with the teacher, you'll start off by using those simple structures, but then eventually feel more confident and try something new. And pronunciation, of course. With pronunciation, you are ensuring intelligibility, which means you are being understood when you speak. Your pronunciation is not impeding what you're trying to say, which can cause a loss of points, of course. And self-correction. It is not wise to self-correct a lot. because that means that you're making a lot of mistakes. But for slight errors, some mild self-correction is actually beneficial because it shows that you are confident enough to correct yourself. So that's great. So can you see how important it is to speak on a regular basis with an English speaker? It's very, very important. So that is something that you need to consider quite a lot. And then, of course, the timeline. We're going all the way back to managing your expectations here. So right at the beginning, when you start your IELTS preparation, this is something that you need to be discussing with somebody that you trust or an IELTS professional. So if this is taking a look at the timeline for your speaking study plan with an aim of reaching a band 6, which is a good, robust level of IELTS. If your start level is a band 4, you can expect at least 24 weeks of intensive preparation in order to reach band 6. This is for speaking, but of course, I'm also referring to all the other preparation that is required. If your start band is band 5, you can expect a 12-week intense preparation period. So keep that in mind. This is really, really important. Don't try to cut it because there's a very big difference between a band 4 and a band 6 and a band 5 and a band 6. Really big. With regards to budgeting your time for your studies, I would recommend anywhere between 2 to 3 hours per day for your IELTS studies overall. How you decide to divide it up is dependent on your skills, your strengths and your weaknesses. So let's say you pick 40 minutes or an hour to practice speaking. There are a variety of different ways that you can do this, and you don't have to do the same thing every day. For example, perhaps this evening you might want to watch a movie or a documentary on YouTube. Those are pretty long. So if you do that on one day, the next day you can take it back a little bit and just do half an hour. But these are some ideas. Series, movies, documentaries, active conversations, news and podcasts, watching speaking examinations on YouTube. That's actually a really good way to become more confident in what to expect in the speaking if you watch other people take the examination. So these are all ways in which you can increase that. But of course, nothing really beats the opportunity to have active conversation with an English speaker. So your aim is not only to focus on the different skills and looking at how you can improve grammatical structures and increase your vocabulary, but actually finding the time to have open conversation with another person so that you can become a confident speaker. And at the end of the day, when it comes time to take your actual speaking examination, all of this preparation and all of this hard work is going to put you in a position to smash that speaking exam.